What's up, YouTube? Knight's Edge here again. Got another pretty quick little review for you here of a pretty cool knife, man. This one is this one's pretty interesting, pretty polarizing. Either gonna love it or hate it. I know a lot of people out there probably saw this the thumbnail and were like, "Gosh, it's SOG." Now, this one is actually a pretty cool SOG. This is a USA made SOG. This is the SOG Seal XR. Studies and Observation Group, Seal XR, CPM, S35VM. We'll get to all that right in here in just a second. But this is a USA made SOG. It's not made in China. It's not made in Taiwan. USA made SOG. Very few and far between on those. But yeah, pretty neat knife. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. This thing is huge. Look at the, man, from the tip of the blade to the end of the handle, you're looking at what I would say a comfortable 9¼ inches if you go all the way back to the glass breaker, to the end of the glass breaker right there. Let's see, let me tape right up on it. A little shy of 9¼ discounting that glass breaker, whatever you want to call pry bar thing, right, just a hair, maybe under 9 inches. Overall blade length, if you go all the way back to here, you're looking at right at 4 inches. And cutting edge on it, let's see, cutting edge, probably about 3 3/4 on the cutting edge. So definitely what I would say is an XL size knife. Take a look at the blade stock thickness here. Thanks to all my viewers, channel members, and Patreons, by the way. You guys help keep me going. I really appreciate that. Let's see here, 185 thousandths, thickest part of the spine, and we'll do the belly around the curve right here, what you're going to be cutting with. Goes down to about 22.5 thousandths, so not terribly bad anyway. Handle thickness 700 thousandths, pretty thick handle. Definitely the definition of what I would call an overbuilt, maybe full size knife. So get a couple of size comparisons out here. That is your Spyderco Paramilitary 2, which it dwarfs, but the only funnier thing than that is whenever I take out the Spyderco Para 3. Big knife, right? Definitely full size, huge, humongous. Let's get out. Let's see. This is a Medford. That's a slim midi right there. All right. So you got the slim midi. A couple of more USA made knives. These are smaller, much smaller batch production knives there. But yeah, definitely bigger than the slim midi. Bigger than the Umnenzon. You know, not too much bigger than the Umnenzon. The Umnenzon kind of matches it almost with cutting edge, but definitely a huge knife. I gotta quit saying definitely so much. Absolutely absolutely a huge knife. Let's get out some common household objects. There's your Scotch tape, regular roll of Scotch tape right there, and a Sharpie. All right, up next to it. And of course, last but certainly not least, this thing's not going anywhere anytime soon. That is your DeWalt framing hammer and your 8-inch USA made crescent wrench right there. So full size to the max. I do own 1 or 2 knives that are a little bit bigger than this, but not many. This is what I would call an XL size knife for sure. Definitely. So definitely again. All right, let's get out the scale. How much do I think this thing weighs, man? I don't know. It doesn't feel heavy, believe it or not. But I know, I don't know, I mean, it's just big, so right, I feel like I'm holding a fixed blade almost, kind of like a tactical fixed blade. I mean, that's what this is sold as, right, a tactical, kind of, you know, this is a knife the Navy SEALs use, when in reality they use all kinds of different knives. This might be one of them, you know, that a Navy SEAL might carry. I don't know, you know, I'm not a Navy SEAL. I've heard, like, watching the Sean Ryan show, that Strider was their preferred Strider, or like a Spyderco PM2. I don't know. I think that's kind of a marketing thing, kind of genius on SOG's end anyway. And a lot of people just see stuff like this and think, ooh, tactical, you know, I got to get it. It says SEAL, man. It's got to be, right? So anyway, that rant's over with. Let me go ahead and weigh this bad boy. What does it weigh? 8.1? We're up there? Yeah, 8.1 ounces. So comparatively, let's see here. This is an Umnenzon, not a light knife at all. And you're sitting at 5 ounces with an Umnenzon, so definitely every bit the definition of a full-size knife. Here's a military 4.3 ounces, right? So kind of get the point there. Let's see if there's any milling internally. Yeah, they got a little bit of milling in there. You can kind of see it, a little bit of milling, not too much, but a couple of gaps taken out inside there. It is steel liners is what it's running on the inside of it. You do have steel liners on the inside. Nice back spacer right there that I believe, let me double check this. Yeah, that back spacer is steel as well. And one of the things, let me go ahead and put the scale up here. Probably should have done that a little bit sooner. Apologies for that. One of the things I noticed right off the bat with this one is look at all the jimping, man. That's crazy. Matter of fact, I should have had this one out a second ago, but let's look at, here's one. This is an XL knife with a comparable amount of jimping, but still not nearly as much. This is the Manix 2, right? Manix 2 XL, actually. So jimping here, on the bottom, on the inside, on the finger choil. So just jimping all over the place on this Manix 2. And, of course, there's your size comparison between the two sitting right next to each other, if you care about that. But the SOG Seal XR has got way more jimping than the Manix 2 XL and the Manix 2. So that's kind of crazy to me. I mean, all back through here, all along the back side of the handle, right there, the liners that come up, kind of, you know, that's kind of pokey. Right? I mean, all the jimping's pretty aggressive, all the way halfway up the spine there. The flipper tab, the grip down in here, just jimping for days, right? So I mean, this is a knife I would say is more or less a lot better to use with gloves on. You know, I don't really I don't really use them with gloves on too much, even big aggressive knives like this, but I think one of the points of it, I guess, right, is you could pull it out of your pocket if you've got mechanics gloves on or whatever, and you've definitely got some traction. No, not at all slipping out on this one, right? So let's look at it in the pocket. And in the pocket, kind of hard to get in the pants. Not really extremely hard, but a little bit hard to get in the pants there. And you definitely got some sticking out, right? Especially with that glass breaker pry bar kind of situation you got going on there. But it really, if you're wearing thick blue jeans, I would say it's not really that bad at all to carry. Now, if you're wearing, you know, athletic shorts, jogging pants, something like that, I would definitely stay away from carrying this thing. Let's do a hardware check real quick here. This is a T6, which is what I'm thinking. Yeah, unfortunately, body screws on such a big, overbuilt knife for T6. Kind of crazy, right? Pocket clip screw, T6. That is right or left-handed, so it is ambidextrous. I did good on that. Let's see. What is this? I think you can... This is kind of like goes all the way through the back spacer there to the other side. So let's check that out. I think that's a T30 maybe? I don't know. It's a large torque size. This is a T20, and the T20 just kind of floats around in there like nobody's business. I'm guessing a T30. I don't think I have a T30 here. Here's a T25. Yeah, I'm saying T30 because T25 is pretty loose in there. Let's see. Let me look. All right, back here again. Sorry, I had to pause it for a second and go look for a T30, but this is a T30, all right? You can see right there, CJRB T30. That's it. That's a T30. That's insane. That's crazy. I think a T8 maybe on the pivot. Yeah, T8 single-sided captive pivot. That's a good thing. T30 on that. That's insane. T6 on the body screw. So it doesn't look like it'd be too much of a fun time to take apart, but not impossible by any means. Put the T30 up there. All right, so what do I think about this one? I like it. I really do. I like it overall. The ergonomics are just outstanding. If you're wearing gloves, even better, right? But even if you're not, I mean, it is kind of sharp, kind of pointy. All the jimping on it. If you're breaking down boxes barehanded, God bless you, because you're gonna definitely have some, you know, it's gonna rough your hands up, no doubt. On the blade right here, you got Studies and Observations Group Seal XR CPM S35VN, which is a good steel, especially for the price these run. In the 200s, I'm wanting to say, let me double. Let's see, I had it pulled up just a second ago, so let me double. $224, yeah. So on BladeHQ right now, these are $224. If you want to use my affiliate link, I get a little kickback off of that. If not, it's fine too. But yeah, this is a very it's kind of complicated. It's a very underrated knife, I think, undermentioned anyway. This is a beater, man. This would be a good carry knife if you do a lot of outdoor stuff and a fixed blade wasn't available. Solid pocket knife, really. The lock on here, I forget what SOG calls it the XR lock, I believe. Kind of like that, the Axis lock, very similar. Slide this back and that blade kind of closes freely with a little bit of tension on it, right? Cannot reverse flake this one. No way. I can't anyway. Flipper tab works just fine. Can see how, watch my hand shake when I fire it open. But flipper tab works fine. You know, jump it all around. You're not going to lose grip on it. You're not going to lose traction. So that's a good thing. Just an all-around solid, big, beefy, gemmed out knife. So if you're interested in something like that, I think this wouldn't be too bad of an option. If you're interested in something smooth and slicey, I would go a different route. But yeah, that's the SOG Seal XR. Really appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if you like the content. I'd really appreciate that. It's right down there. Right down there. Subscribe if you want more of it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay sharp.